Right then, welcome back to the channel. Let's look at the 5 things that we learned. And I actually think we genuinely learned quite a bit about United. I think Amorim, more importantly, learned quite a few things about Manchester United after yesterday's draw with Liverpool at Anfield. Let's start with the captain. Much maligned captain. A captain that's had some very twitchy, iffy performances at Liverpool in the past as well. So very important that Bruno Fernandes put in what might be one of his best performances in a United shirt, and certainly one of the best given the circumstances. He was winning his duels, which is something that all season, since I've been doing the player ratings vid, check that out a little bit later today. Since I've been doing the player ratings vid, it's very stat heavy, and I base a lot of it on the stats. And I noticed that Bruno is he wins like 20-25% of his duels. He doesn't win a lot of them. Yesterday, he was winning the vast majority of his duels. He looked fit. He looked strong. He almost looked like rested, and he's not been rested. He was beating people off a dribble. He was holding people off. He was carrying the ball effectively into decent areas. He still lost the ball a fair bit. He was still United's main culprit in terms of losing possession. But it takes a lot of character to stand up and be counted in games like that. It was a genuine captain's performance. He cements it with an assist for Bruno's absolute rocket. He was very, very good. And he was involved in both offense and defensive parts of the game. It was a great performance from Bruno Fernandes. So well done. Number 2, midfield. We spoke about midfield a lot lately, and this game is something that gets won and lost in midfield. And I thought the game, well, was it won? We won the midfield battle, I think it would be fair to say. A lot of that was Ugarte. He was incredible, and he has been for a while. His timing on his presses and his interceptions and his tackles is otherworldly. I think the best compliment I could pay him is that he would fit in any era of Manchester United, because I think he's just got that level of quality and that level of attitude and that level of character about him. He plays like it upsets him when the opposition have the ball. He's a genuine warrior. And I thought alongside him, Mainu had an equally effective performance. Now, there were sloppy moments for Mainu. And by sloppy, I mean that what I think it is with Kobbie is I don't think he is naturally taken to the defensive aspects of the game, especially playing in a midfield 2. I think playing in a midfield 3 is a little bit different. Playing in a midfield 2, you really have to be in the spot at the right time. And if you move, the gap that opens up, because there's only 2 of you dealing with that entire sort of position on the pitch, you really get noticed if you're not in the right kind of area. And I think Kobbie was effective. Again, he was winning his duels. Not quite on a Ugarte level of winning them, who's ridiculous, but he was winning his duels. He won more than he lost, and he was busy. I just don't think it's his natural tendency. And people are going to be like, oh, I didn't think he was that bad. I don't think he was that bad. I'm just trying to give you like a balanced overall picture here. There's times when things happen on the football pitch and it's instinctive and it's natural. I think when Kobbie gets in the final third, when he gets into the box, when he's dribbling and he's beating men, that's pure instinct that he's playing on there, because that's the part of the game that suits him the most. I think when Ugarte is defending, that's pure instinct. Now, I think Kobbie can do it, and he does do it, and he's generally pretty good at doing it, but it's not instinctive. That's all I'm saying. So, put whatever spin on that you want. I just don't think it's as instinctive as it is with some players. But him and Ugarte completely outplayed Liverpool's midfield. And Liverpool's midfield has been excellent this season. People have been absolutely touching the cocks about Gravenberch all season. What did he do yesterday? We were stronger in the duels. We were first to everything. We played like we wanted it. And that's what it's all about. Massive game. And from them as a 2... when you contrast that to what we saw with Eriksen and Casemiro with Newcastle, them as a 2, I mean, Kobbie was great when he came on against Newcastle, and we didn't have the option of bringing Ugarte on. But them as a 2, it just works. It's an area of the pitch that I think we need reinforcements, but I'd be surprised if you can sign someone that takes one of them out of the starting 11. Number 3, defensive desire. the defenders were brilliant to a man. Now, De Ligt's going to come in with some flack because he's dived in a little bit for the first, and it's hit his hand for the second. So people are automatically going to go, well, he was shit. He wasn't. It's just the top and bottom of it. Martinez had a good game. Capped it with a sensational finish. Ridiculous. Yoro looked fantastic when he came on for his cameo. Just put in one of the most all-time Premier League tackles. It was fantastic. Mazraoui back to his best. Out here nutmegging people. No pressure whatsoever. Delo, even though I think he hasn't played well under Amorim. That was his best game. And he was causing Trent all sorts of issues. Maguire and De Ligt, both solid. United have to start replicating that on a weekly basis. And if the midfield and the defence can turn up like that, we'll be all right most of the time. I still think there was a lot to deal with offensively, and there's a lot of room for improvement offensively. But the defence, it played with desire. It played. It played well. It didn't low block either. United didn't go to Anfield and sit and try and play them on the counter. We almost had 50% possession. Like, we went for them. It was a 50-50 game. We went toe-to-toe with them at Anfield and have come away thinking, we could have probably won that. That's massive. And a big part of that is the defence. And, on that, Onana had things to do, and he did them. And actually, it was nice to see him coming claiming stuff on the 6-yard line at corners, because for too often I've been watching us and going, why can't he go to the 6-yard line? It seems like if it's inside the 6-yard box, he'll get it. If it's not, he ain't. And on that 6-yard line seems to be the kind of like threshold for whether to stay or go for it. And he was going, and I like that. Number 4, it's the hope that kills. There are performances like that. And even the manager sort of said it in the post-match press conference, but there's performances like that give you hope, but then go, hang on, where's that been? We can put in consistent performances, this team. I worry that they're not going to score enough goals. If we can bring in a forward and a left wing back this month, I would be pretty confident that we're going to finish the season strong. Amorim looked upset after the game. He was referring to how performances like that annoy him when he thinks about some of the performances that have gone before it. We are capable of more. I still think you need signings. I still think that you've got to bring in, like I said, a left wing back and a striker, or someone that can play in one of those 10 roles and make something happen. Because, as I've said all season, the defence, I like the personnel in defence, and we've got a bit of depth in the defence. And the midfield felt like the people were there. We just needed to get them into the right kind of pieces. It's just the goals. Where are the goals coming from? If this United team could score goals, because go back to the first half. We had chances, didn't we? Ahmad's had an absolutely golden chance. It's a phenomenal cross that's coming from Delo, and you just think, oh my good God, you're not going to get loads of those. But actually, we had a few. And finally, youthful impact. I think, I've done a couple of videos talking about the academy this week. We need to lead into the youth. We're going to be forced to lead into the youth. Mainu has been slowly rounding back into some form. Yoro's been dripped in, which is nice to see. He's showing a lot of promise every time he comes on. Garnacho did all right, getting an assist there for Diallo. Manchester United, whenever we've been good, has been built on a foundation of youth. And I think you've got the right materials with some of the players at the club at the moment. Invest into them. You've got leaders in the team. I think, Martinez, I think Mazraoui, I think De Ligt, I think Ugarte, and I think Onana to a greater or lesser extent. I've got the right stuff about them. I think they are leaders. And I think they've got the right character, and I think they play the game the right way. Introduce youngsters around that group, and let's see what they can do, because there's some good people involved in there. We lack goals, but outside of that, there is stuff to work with. And, can I deludedly hope that we have a turnaround like Forest have had this season? Or Arsenal had a few years ago when they only went from 5th. All right, let's say Chelsea. The turnaround that we saw at Chelsea. It come on the back of Cole Palmer's goals, essentially. Because if you take Cole Palmer's goals away, us and Chelsea would be bunkmates. Anyway, I'm happy with that. If you'd have offered me a draw at some point yesterday morning, had a bit in your hand off. And if you'd have told me that we'd come away thinking we could have got 3 points there, I'd have wondered what happened. But like I said in the review yesterday, and some of you agree and some of you don't agree, and I don't actually care, United were robbed. United were robbed. But get us your comments in. I will be doing player ratings in a second, so check that out in a couple of hours once that's edited and posted. And yeah, shout out to all the new members and all the new YouTube members and patrons as well. More stuff coming out for you guys a little bit later on this week. Ben's in Friday, I believe, so we'll be doing another Thursday club with Ben. So cheers for tuning in, as always. Make sure to subscribe if you are new in these parts, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.